present here. Today, I, Aditi Shukla, is here to represent the topic measurement of radioactivity. Before we proceed to the content slide, let me tell you once again what is radioactivity. Radioactivity can be defined as the disintegration or the emission of radiations from the nucleus of an atom. Radiation is also defined as the spontaneous and uncontrollable disintegration of the nucleus of atom. Move to the next slide. In the content today, we will be discussing about radiopharmaceuticals, half-life, and measurement of radioactivity. The three techniques which we use in the measurement of radioactivity are Geiger-Müller counter, scintillation counter, and semiconductor counter. Next slide. So, as I told earlier, that you should know what is radioactivity before knowing about the measurement techniques of radioactivity. Let me once read what I wrote and I'll explain again. So the content says, radioactivity can be defined as the nuclear instability which results in the radiation or emission of particles from the nuclei. There are various types of radiations. Amongst them, the most common types of radiations are alpha, beta, and gamma particles. Then we proceed to what are radiopharmaceuticals. Radiopharmaceuticals are the therapeutic radionuclides which are radio-labeled and are injected or inserted in our body in order to detect the disease sites. And let me tell you what is radio labeling. In radio labeling, the isotopes of the in radio labeling, the few atoms of the molecule are replaced by their isotopes in order to detect the disease of in order to detect the site of the disease. Next slide. Then we'll be discussing what is half-life. Half-life can be defined as the time required for any radioactive isotope to decay 1/2 of its original value. It is usually denoted by T1/2, and T1/2 has a value of 0.693 upon lambda. Lambda here is the decay constant. We can take the example of ferric citrate. It has a half-life of 45 days. Let me explain you what is half-life by taking a small example. In the diagram we can see, let's take ferric citrate. If it is the parent isotope and we keep it for around 45 days, it will reduce from its original value to half of its value. And if we keep it for further 45 days, only small proportion of the original compound will be left. Another example is sodium iodide, whose half-life is 8.06 days. We'll be proceeding to measurement of radioactivity. For the identification of different types of radiations, we use detectors, and all the detectors are based on the principle that the radiations are ionized and they are collected on a screen. And when they are ionized, they either form charge carriers which are recorded directly or with the help of voltage impulses. There are three types of counters or detectors which we use. Next slide. That are gas-filled detectors, scintillation detectors, and semiconductor detectors. Today we will be talking about Geiger-Müller counter in general and about scintillation and semiconductor detectors. Next slide. As you can see in the picture, here is the Geiger-Müller counter. It is known as the world's best handheld tool for measuring the radioactivity. Next slide. We can see in the diagram that the construction of GM tube is a cylindrical tube which is a cathode, and inside it there is a wire anode. Then the cylindrical tube which is present there in the GM tube, it is filled with a specialized gas which can be argon, Usually we use argon, which gets readily ionized, and we use a very small proportion of quenching vapors, that is 5 to 10% of organic gases, which prevent the spurious formation of voltage. Previous slide. So let me tell you how it works. GM counter usually detects the radiations like alpha, beta and gamma rays. Next slide. Let's take the example of solid isotopes. In the GM tube, when we use solid isotopes, they get charged and they are collected on the thin mica window that is present at the side of the GM tube, and then the scaler notes the number of radiations present there, and the number of radiations or the pulse which is present there is never variable inside the GM tube. It is always the same. Next. Then we have scintillation counters. As the name indicates, scintillation means light producing. In scintillation counters, we have substances like fluorescence or phosphorescence. When a radiate is incident inside the scintillation detectors, you can see in the diagram, when we incident any radiate in the scintillation detectors, it emits lights and then it is noted by the scaler. Scintillation counter has photomultiplier, which is coupled with a phosphor to convert the scintillation into voltage impulses, then an amplifier and a cell. We can use both organic and inorganic scintillator detectors. Then we have semiconductor detectors. Semiconductors, we know that semiconductors are the substances whose electrical conductivity lies between that of a metal and a non-metal. And we have two examples of semiconductor detectors, that is germanium lithium and sodium iodide thallium conductors. The germanium lithium conductors are usually more productive since they are able to measure the gamma rays 10 times more in resolution than that of sodium iodide thallium counters. The main disadvantage of using these, that it is very cumbersome, because when we use germanium lithium conductors, they need to be liquefied with the help of cooled nitrogen. And the other disadvantage is they can only be used for measuring the lower efficiency, lower value gamma X-rays. Next is the references. These were the certain books I took reference from. Any questions? Thank you.